Who are Germany's newest political party? Konrad spends a week with the Querdenker-adjacent Die Basis, remains unbrainwashed and then meets two Afghans who helped the German army but didn't get much help back. Megan, meanwhile, has picked up a stat about the Megacan beverage industry. Now, a spot of Bombay Bramble, sir?
Hello everyone, it's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan, I'm here with ex-Berliner magazine, sitting in Berlin with the lovely Konrad Werner. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. Do you know what happened to me this week?
No.
I sprained my elbow.
Oh no.
I fell over in the shower.
Oh God.
Like a pensioner. Slipped.
You need to get those little things, non-slip mat.
Yeah, I was going to get those sort of flowers that you
We
got in the
daisies,
70s.
those are for pensioners. Yeah, I'm sure we can get you some.
But then I think that they go mouldy over time, don't you? So maybe better to get a mat.
No, you just clean them.
Yeah,
But are you all right? Does it,
yeah, it was
probably
fine
hurt
now.
a lot.
But it happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. It was very sore.
Did you
It
go to the
really
doctor?
hurt. No, I just went to the apotheker and I got like a cream and an ice pack.
They give you some tea or some other Deutsch nonsense. Yeah. Please, can I just have some codeine? No, here is some tea.
But
fine.
Yeah, no, and I what happened was I was just getting into the shower and then both my feet were in the shower, but then I slipped backwards and I tried to stop myself falling with my elbow.
Oh.
And my elbow kind of slipped under my body down the side of the bath. So I kind of fell right on my arm and twisted it behind me.
That's horrible.
It was like the bathtub was sort of arresting me, like a policeman arresting me. It was like just suddenly twisted
Getting
my
like
arm.
bounced out of a nightclub in your own bathroom. Oh gosh, I'm sorry.
And then
that's horrible.
It really hurt. Now it's fine. I was feeling okay.
Well, do you know what might help? Booze.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, so are you ready for a new Megacan?
Oh, there's another new one.
I know I slightly traumatized you with last week's one. In fact, our lovely friend Hannah texted me a picture of a pina colada-esque Megacan yesterday, being like, oh, look at this one. And I was like, I can't bring Konrad another pina colada-esque mega. He was so upset. No, so this is actually a take on the gin and tonic, and it's Bombay Bramble. I don't know if you've ever had a Bramble cocktail before.
I didn't know.
But if you are a sort of slightly basic person like me who goes to the apartment, or used to when the apartment in Belfast was like the coolest bar you could go to, this is what you'd be drinking there.
Really?
So
it's like a fancy gin.
Yeah, so Bombay Sapphire have brought out a new gin,
right,
with the bramble stuff in it. It's blackcurrant basically. Sorry, raspberry, blackberry and raspberry. Anyway,
infusion, blackberry and raspberry infusion, it says. Yeah,
so now they're basically marketing it in the Megacan form, but obviously still, because it's Bombay, I've got that picture of Queen Victoria.
It's the fruits of the forest Victorian
Well, let's
gin.
See what it's like.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, it sounds fizzy, so there's...
Shit.
Oh, God! Oh, no!
Hang on.
That's terrible! Sorry, it's gone absolutely everywhere, and the first time in Megacan history. Let me help.
No, it's fine.
Have you still even got any?
Yeah.
In there? How did one get shook up and not the other? They've been together the whole time.
I don't know.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. Okay. All right. Now, after that excitement.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
I quite like that because it's quite brambly.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, all right.
It's like an alcoholic Vimto.
That is exactly what it tastes like.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's what the fancy people at Bombay were going for, but that's what you've got.
Because it is still quite sugary, but fizzy, and it's quite, and yeah, it's good. It's quite. I like this because it's got a sourness.
Yeah, it's not too sweet. Oh yeah, we'll be licking that back off your floor, sucking on that paper towel you've used, like your gin rag. Well, do you know what happened to me this week?
Yes.
My brother came to visit finally after months and months and months, obviously, in fact, years of not being able to come visit. And I introduced him to Megacans. It was very funny because he and his girlfriend were like sipping them. And they're like, Megan, this is disgusting. I was like, yeah, they're an acquired taste. Like, obviously, I think they're delicious now. But the first time I ever had one, I was like, this is fucking foul. But then I was like, just wait. We were out in the woods, like on the bikes, like looking at the lake. I was like, just wait till the effect kicks in. We're not drinking these for the thing. We finished our megas and we decided not to bring a second one. He was just like, we really should have brought that second one. He was like, I could absolutely go another one of those. I was like, yep.
Yeah,
they have a lovely effect. But he said that someone had told him that the like cocktail in can, mixed drink can market is the biggest market in the drinks industry. And I think it must be the fastest growing. I don't think it could be the biggest.
No, because children can't drink it, for example.
Sorry, I mean alcoholic drinks thing.
Oh, right,
I think.
okay.
And I was trying to work out how that could be.
So that means more than beer. That can't be.
I think it must be something like fastest growing, or maybe in the spirits, because if you think about it, you shift a lot more units of megas, I would imagine, than like bottles of vodka.
Yeah,
because
hard liquor. In the hard liquor sector.
I literally have no idea. This is now fourth hand or something. I'm passing this on to you. But anyway,
so
Bramble is good.
If any listener would like to do their own research into the sector.
Really, anything we talk about on here, whether it's Megacans or the news or anything, you'd really be better off doing your own research. Though not in like a creepy Querdenker way. The phrase, I've done my own research, has just become...
It's come up a lot this week.
Has it? Yeah. What are we going to talk about this week?
Well, we'll do it in the order we said because...
Okay, yes. I was thinking, we've come across an amazing segue, which makes us look like we've planned this. But of course, we've segued into the wrong topic that we didn't want to start with.
We'll do it in the other order. I just wanted to... I mean, this isn't a really long thing. I just wanted to talk about the Erntebericht.
The harvest.
The annual
harvest report.
The annual harvest report of the Agriculture Ministry came out earlier this week.
Well, and I'm sure
you probably want to know
how
the German harvest has been.
Well, no, I don't think I do, but work away.
So we've had quite a downturn, another downturn in the amount of grain that has been grown in Germany. And this is a kind of a carrying on a trend. It's another 1% drop this year. And this is kind of bad news because it's part of climate change. And even though the agriculture minister is a CDU minister, and obviously they have not been particularly excited about climate change historically, she said, we have to start adapting what crops we grow in Germany already. And they've got this sort of plan to start mixing up the crops and growing more beans and stuff, and also to replenish the soil. They have to basically come up with a new agriculture plan.
Yeah, this sort of intensive farming is just basically terrible.
And they keep talking about hummus. They said we have to create more hummus.
It doesn't mean hummus like delicious chickpea and tahini.
No, this is what was very confusing for me because it's the same word in English and German.
Yes.
Hummus and hummus. And I thought, so I looked it up in the dictionary and it was like, it's hummus. But it's not hummus. It's it's the fraction of soil organic matter that is amorphous. And without the cellular cake structure characteristic of plants, microorganisms, or animals. Don't really know what that means.
Isn't it like all the sexy kind of grubby stuff that makes things grow?
Yeah, and we're running out of it. And so we have to...
I did not come here to be told that we're running out of fucking hummus. Please don't tell this to really...
Yeah, we have to mix up our crop regulation, crop strategy. It's an Ackerbaustrategie.
Yeah, and, I think they've been told this for decades. The whole time they've been doing this intensive farming, everyone's like, this is unsustainable.
Yeah.
And now they're like, report 2021, this is unsustainable.
Yeah.
Well, at least they're doing something about it, I guess.
So we have to switch to Dinkel. You know what Dinkel is?
Yes, they do. It is spelt, I believe.
Spelt. It's a big German thing, isn't it? Dinkel. I go to LPG.
All kinds of breads. They do good bread.
Yeah, you can't move for Dinkel in the supermarket, in the organic supermarket. It's just full of Dinkel. I don't really know exactly what it is.
Yeah, well,
so
we should be getting more of that, should we? Rather than the rye or
yeah, we shouldn't.
Weizen?
We should just not be concentrating on the grains, so wheat, corn, and gerste, but we should be moving.
Gerste?
Oh, see, I'll have to look that up.
Sorry.
I was hoping either you would know or you wouldn't ask me. Barley. It's barley.
Oh, barley. Right. Okay. All right. I can do that.
And so just don't have to go into that very much, but that's the
I do
thing.
sort of like that there's a harvest report. Mind you, why is it so much earlier than the harvest festival would be?
I don't know. Maybe because they want to go on holiday. I don't know. I have no idea.
All right. So that's the agriculture report, and the prognosis is not great.
Worrying, yeah.
It's really...
So, yeah, do you want to know what else I've been doing this week?
Please.
Well, it's actually last week, because in the next issue of Explainer magazine, I've actually written a whole feature for the first time for ages, and the whole guide for the election guide.
You're doing that?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So by the time this comes out, this podcast, plus 2 more days... So basically next week when you see in the shops the Explainer come out, you can read it. And what I've done is I spent a week hanging out with Germany's newest major political party, which is called Die Basis.
Die Basis.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Please tell me more.
So they came out of the Querdenker movement.
No. Sorry, is it too late to not give my consent for this to happen?
Yeah, they launched last July the 4th, Independence Day in America, because they want to reform the whole democratic system in Germany. I mean, in the media and in the newspapers, they always just get called the Querdenker Party, which is sort of fair enough because they did come out of that movement. But
what do they make of that moniker? Are they kind of like, no, we're not Querdenkers?
They think they're a bit more than just Querdenker. And people who joined later don't think... Some people in the party don't think of themselves as Querdenker. And some people do. But they kind of say... They think that Querdenker is only about, vaccine skepticism, lockdown skepticism.
Do all of them have those things, though? You can't have those things and then be like, don't call me a Querdenker because I always also, read Kant. If you're vaccinated and you kept the lockdown rules and you wear a fucking mask, then I will call you something else.
They believe all those things, but they also believe more things.
Okay, continue. We'll see.
So, Die Basis translates as grassroots. It doesn't just mean basis.
Oh, okay.
It kind of means what you would call, in a political context, it means grassroots of a party, And this is their whole idea.
You were telling me a little bit about this, and some things, as with many things, the world is a complex place. I was like, that sounds cool.
So what they want to do is bring way more direct democracy into the political system. So more referendums, but then more kind of citizens forums and some kind of system which they already have partially set up in the party where you vote for the party's policies permanently. Like normally a political party, the members only get to vote once a year during the conference for when they have a party conference, and they want to have some kind of rolling party conference where you can constantly vote for what the party wants to do. They want to really flatten the whole structure. Now,
which sounds great.
Yeah.
But also with crisis, if this is in response to the management of the corona crisis, Germany's handling of that was agonizingly slow in some regards because of the system of Merkel would say one thing and then fucking 16 other lads had to go away and discuss it with a whole load of other lads. And then they were like, meh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not necessarily very practical, and also technologically it might be a bit challenging because how would you make sure that a lot of data would have to be exchanged? Everyone would have to have an app of some kind, and then you would also have to be able to prove your identity. It would be complicated.
Just thinking about people trying to work this out.
So anyway, that's their big thing.
But look, this is election season. This is not the time for realistic propositions. What else do they want?
Well, they don't really. That's the other thing, is they don't really have a very detailed manifesto. It's all very vague. They don't really have any particular policy on climate change. They just say that the climate should be protected, but so should the economy. That's what they say. It's a bit wishy-washy, and they're kind of trying to please everyone.
Like people that feel a bit upset, and I don't mean to say, maybe they just need someone to listen to their concerns.
Exactly, yeah. That's
what they feel is not happening, and I do get that.
I think they're part of a pattern as well, because we're getting more and more little parties springing up of people who are these movements appear after big decisions are made. And then this movement always turns into a political party. I mean, that's how the AfD started, And then 2 years later, the AfD they became racist.
Oh, basically. Because we decided to maybe let people that were going to die into our massive fucking rich as Jesus country.
Yeah, that's because as a result of what some people call the refugee crisis, but other people would call. And that resulted in the Pegida movement. And the Pegida movement basically took over the AFD. And now, with the Corona thing last year, we've got Die Basis that came out of this. And they are just like a really classic populist party, you know, like they just have one issue. They take it really seriously. But out of this one issue, they've drawn these basic principles about the democratic system, which they want to change. And that's why they're called Die Basis. Flatten the whole system.
So what are they? First of all, what was it like meeting them? Were you undercover?
No.
Okay.
I said I was a journalist.
Okay.
I thought I used to do that kind of thing.
Were they nice? Were they?
Yeah, they were perfectly fine. Yeah, they were lovely. They were nice. They were a lot of them. The other thing is that in the media and a lot of the thing, they've often been stamped as Nazis and like, you know, like because they were at the Corona Querdenker demos were often a pretty mixed bag. It's fair to say.
I think we've talked about that quite a lot. And like if you show up for a march and there's Nazis there, you gotta go home. You don't just go, well, we're not the Nazi ones, and then try and storm the fucking Reichstag or whatever the fuck they did.
So I talked to a few people who went to those demos, and they were a little bit leery about hanging out with, especially with the Reichsbürger. Do you know about the Reichsbürger? Yeah.
You've told me about the Reichsbürger, and I wish you hadn't. It's people who still think that we're living in the Reich never ended, isn't it? And they still...
Yeah, they don't. They think that the Federal Republic of Germany is not a legitimate country.
There we go. Yeah.
And that it's basically a company owned by America.
I mean, this is the really crazy thing. There are in all of these things like an element of truth. And if maybe people were just... I don't advocate all of like the crazy stuff they do and not having the vaccines and like being a Nazi and all of that. If we didn't have such an exploitative system, then maybe these people, or somewhere that these concerns could be heard, or whether it was, you know, we're all supposed to believe in this great capitalist dream, and it's just awful for many people. Yeah,
you get a lot of anti-capitalists in the Basis. In fact, not so much in the AFD.
Is it so mad to believe that Germany is a company when literally the CDU, as you have so rightly said, are the political wing of Volkswagen? Like, is that, like, it's not that much of a leap. It's
just not literally true.
No, it's just not literally true. And it's very difficult to work out, point things are, and like, how much do you trust the government? Well, I don't trust them in certain things. Do I take their vaccinations? Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Reichsbürger were definitely like a very small minority, and they are like definitely a bit weird.
Oh no, those you don't get to be a Nazi under this. Like, at no point is it okay to be racist. We all know that.
Some of them have tried to join Die Basis. So the guy that I met, he says that we have tried to like weed out the Reichsbürger when they join, but as a young party, it is often, you know, more complicated than that, because you can't really tell until they speak up at meetings what they really think, you know. You just let them in and then you just like let them talk, and then it's quite hard to kick people out again. It's a complicated legal process that goes on. Anyway.
See this paperwork, like, oh.
Well, what I wanted to talk about is because they're really anti-establishment, as you'd expect from a populist party. And so they have these, the Die Basis, they don't just have like a leader and a deputy leader, that spokespeople for different, you know, environment spokesmen and social policy. What they have is 4 pillars, and these pillars are their principles, and those principles are swarm intelligence, so like hive mind.
Yes.
Achtsamkeit, which is like mindfulness. So there's almost like a little bit meditation Buddhism type thing.
Okay.
Machtbegrenzung, which is like power, the limitation of power, and freedom is the other one.
Oh, we love freedom, don't we? We love freedom.
And then they have a commissioner, both in state level and at federal level, for each of those areas. So I interviewed the Swarm Intelligence Commissioner in Die Basis, and I'm
going to need you to paint me a mental picture here, Konrad. Where was this meeting?
It was in a Polish restaurant in Treptower Park.
What?
Right.
None of this makes any fucking sense.
Right at the other end of Treptower Park, like right in the southern tip of it. There's a little Polish restaurant, and it was very nice.
On the water?
Yeah, it was close to the water. It was
on
not
the other side of the Insel Bridge?
No, it's just on this side. It's near the big road. It's not a famous restaurant or anything. It's just a little place.
Famous restaurant. I thought Treptower Park I knew quite well. I'm like, mind you, I only saw that bloody Soviet memorial. Literally about 2 years ago.
That's the
Fucking
biggest bit.
mind blown. I missed that running around Treptow Park for fucking years. Anyway.
No, it's right the other.
So you go
anyway.
to this Polish restaurant.
Yeah, and I chatted to this guy, and he was very he was like, he was very nice, and he's
ethnicity.
they're all German, and they're all like between 50
White German?
Yeah.
Sorry.
What did you expect? I mean, yeah.
So, 50s, did you say?
Yeah, 50, early 60s, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was just in, and what they all share, like what this guy that I spoke to shared, is that he was like a disgruntled leftist, like he started out in the like early 2000s. He was like, if anything, like an SPD voter, and then the SPD did the the benefit reform thing, and he got really pissed off about.
Just listen to an excellent podcast, just do a little shout out, called Spaßbremse.
Oh yeah,
about Hartz-IV, and you should totally check it out.
So that's the when they did that reform, when Schröder did that reform, a lot of leftists left the party then.
Yeah, because it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And then he was like in the Linke. He joined the forerunner of the Linke party, and then he joined the Linke party, and he was like active in Neukölln for the Linke into like, this is like 2008 to 2012, and then in 2011 there was a big referendum in Berlin for the like putting the waterworks back into public hands, because they'd all been sold off in the 90s, and there was a big referendum which was won by the yes vote. So the referendum like we're going to have now with Deutsche Wohnen, they demanded that waterworks be put back into public hands, and the Linke, who were in government at the time and who had actually been in government when it was sold off, they were in like put in a really awkward position. And they were very cagey about supporting this referendum, even though it's totally a Linke thing. So this guy that I talked to, that he said that at that point I left the Linke party in spirit,
Yeah.
And he said he even though he was still a member until last year, he didn't campaign or do anything actively for them after that. And then he kind of like, and a lot of them are like people who used to be political and then like lost their political interest because they felt betrayed by a big party.
Yeah.
And then when Die Basis started up, and Die Basis has this whole thing about, you can vote for the policies of your party. We we listen to every member. We let every member gets a say. And
all of this, like up to this point, like I'm totally with this man, right?
Yeah.
But at what point does it get mixed in with the I don't trust vaccines and
I don't know,
the coronavirus thing, like the lockdown? Like I do, it was awful. Like I'm only just realizing, because I sort of feel normal again, how fucking horrendous it's been, and I had the easiest ride. What happened? Like, what is that? That's not necessarily a question I'm expecting you to answer. And we're just
he told me that for 2 months he followed all the rules. Like, this is like March, April last year.
Congratulations, mate. 2 months. It's been 18, you fuck.
And then he felt like he
got tired, like we all did. It wasn't just memes and Italians singing on their balconies anymore. And then what did he do?
And then he started doing his own research, which is where we came in.
Oh no.
And he felt like we're never going to get back to normal, and the politicians are never going to let us get back to normal because they're not going to let us
it's like this
the lockdown properly.
I guess if you have this like big, I've never been so involved in politics that I actually was in a party or anything. I've just like constantly disillusioned with them in the way that everyone, a lot of people are. But I guess if you have that in your past, it's all just people acting out like their past-based trauma. And his is like, I can't trust Die Linke because they did I couldn't trust the SPD because they did this, and now I cannot trust this government. I'm pissed off after this lockdown.
Yeah.
I've heard other people, like people who are not saying things like, are we ever going to go back to normal? The government is never going to...
They're never going to let us out of this. They're going to always just keep us in various kinds of lockdown. And...
Which is... like understandable, but also mad, because the governments have been doing anything but like
Yeah.
locking us completely down.
Yeah.
In Germany, certainly.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not even... And this is what I kept saying to them. I said, like, look, the cinemas are all open again.
Yeah.
I went into a bar and sat the whole time in a bar this week without a mask on inside. Like, what is what lockdown are you worried about? And they're just saying... And you know what they said? They said, you just wait. As soon as the election happens, they're going to lock everything down again. And
but why?
And he said it's going to be like a Maskenzwang in schools. They didn't like the fact that there's going to be a Maskenzwang in
There's
schools.
been one for ages. This is the other thing. People love to politicize education. They don't have a fucking clue what actually goes on. Our kids are nailing it with their masks. And I used to remember I was all like, oh, we couldn't test them in front of, that's awful to do with their peers. I literally, they're in the middle of something today and I notice a latecomer is just like making weird eye contact with me as he's swabbing his nostrils, also participating in class. They're doing so brilliant. So funny. They don't really care.
So yeah, they don't trust. They think that we've just this lockdown will happen, and then they said like, oh, if the Greens get into power, then we're going to have a Klima lockdown. We're going to have a Klima Diktatur. Then it starts.
God, if I had that suspicion about
weird.
the Greens, I would be getting everyone to vote for that.
Anyway,
so I think.
So yeah, I'm not going to vote for them or anything, but I think they are quite symptomatic of what is happening in Germany.
I think
in the world.
I think in the world, I think a lot of people's like any confronting event which happens reactivates our trauma. And everyone does it in different ways. So if you have something about really distrusting authority because someone in authority did something terrible to you, then you are not going to get your vaccine and you are going to go and do some kind of weird party. If your trauma is like, the world is a terrifying place because I was never safe as a child or whatever, then you get like super, super anxious, or your anxiety that you deal with normally, you can no longer deal with it.
Yeah.
We just need everyone to just have loads of money and like hugs if they want them. I don't need hugs. And like
as much contact as
much contact as everyone needs, and like maybe a little Megacan when it's responsible to do so. I don't know.
And that's sort of life.
I swing between being like this and then just being like, I swear to fucking God, if you do not get your vaccine, I don't ever want to talk to you again. But
I told you as well, the one guy that I spoke to, he had actually been vaccinated. Because even though he
oh my God, you told me this and I can't even remember what the ins and outs of it were.
Because his partner was in a risk group, so for her sake he got vaccinated.
No, this was a different person than you were telling me.
And then
that's fine.
his mum had already been vaccinated and nothing happened.
Oh no!
And
yes, no, that was it.
And then he realised, maybe it's okay.
So I think it's when you see how people are having to jump through mental hurdles that you're just like, this is not about the vaccine. Because if he genuinely believed, in the anti-vax stuff, it's a bit like the anti-abortion debate. Like if you genuinely believe people are murdering babies, like you should be attacking all of the abortionists in the world. Like you should just be on a rampage.
Yeah.
But you're not. So it's about something else. Like it's not, you just.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was the only one that I met. Of all the Bas's people I met, all the others were like not vaccinated and did not want to get vaccinated.
I really wish I'd brought a Chanel test for you.
I met them outside. The party meeting was in a park.
Good.
So, and on a breezy summer's evening.
Summer's evening.
And I sat at the back.
Well,
I was just listening. I didn't get involved.
That's fine. No, we can all still test. Even the lovely children.
Yeah.
We're fully vaccinated. Most of our older kids are vaccinated. And they're still just like doing their tests in the morning as they're chatting away. Out of there, because we say like, oh, do you need to legally do a test? We have to fill in like forms and send them off to the Senate that we've made sure they're tested 3 times a week if they're not fully vaccinated. Like, oh, you just do you need to do one? They're like, no, I just think to be safe.
Okay.
Either that or they're all just looking to get a wee positive and go home for 2 weeks. But I think it is like, I'm like, are you doing it out of your civic duty? They're like, yeah. And these are like kids, and it's like first time voting, and we've been doing all these projects in school about it. And I just...
Are you going to get them to vote in your their Bezirksversammlungs elections?
A lot of them can vote because they're German, so they can vote.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of them can then do, because they're over 16.
Okay.
And then some of them can only do like me, like the EU kind of Bezirk. But I got to tell someone that, and she didn't know, and she was like, good. Oh, I can vote. And it was really exciting. She was like, oh, I'm going to go and vote. I was like, yay.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good. All right. So do you want to hear about the other meeting I had earlier this week? So I met two Afghan Ortskräfte, as the German word is.
Yeah.
It's like local support staff in Afghanistan. They were people...
Employees
of the German military
are
and the German
employees.
government. German
military staff, I think, is what we can call them.
Yeah.
Germany military support staff, yeah.
So, so I went to they're living at the moment in a refugee Übergangs, called an Übergangsheim, like a transitional home in Marienfelde. They got out in mid-July, so a couple of weeks before Kabul fell, and but they had decided to leave late last year. It took them 6 months to leave because they had to borrow all the money because they had to pay for all the tickets themselves. That's the other thing. Like until this whole evacuation started, you had a right to asylum in Germany and you had a right to come here, but you had to make your own way. And so they did all that. One guy, he had 6 kids, so he had to he spent like $7,000
oh my God.
to get here, which he had to borrow from his friends and family and other people. And they made it here just in the nick of time. And then the other guy, he was working as a translator for between the Afghan army and the NATO army. He worked for the Bundeswehr, but also worked for all the different the Americans and the Finns and everything. He'd been working for like 15 years for the military, for the NATO.
They made him pay his own fucking ticket.
And he had to pay his own ticket, yeah.
Oh,
and also the other thing is that this is quite interesting, is that the German rules were that you can only take what they called your core family. So that means your spouse and your children with you, but can't.
That's not how families work in other parts of the world.
Well, he said that in Afghanistan we consider the core family like our parents, our brothers and sisters, like everyone is part of it.
The thought that I would not be able to take my brothers and sisters and my parents with me somewhere is.
And he's really terrified for them too, because they all have the same name, and they all people know, so they're all in hiding in part of Afghanistan. Yeah, and he has no way of bringing them over, and it was quite awful. And the other one, he was working as a security driver for a German consulate, and he kind of told me the same story. They were two friends who both decided to come over together. Yeah, and then they were also kind of a bit put out by the fact that they're being treated like any other war refugee. Like they were in this big home, and there's no, they have to go through all the same bureaucracy, the asylum application, getting their kids to school. There's no special treatment for them at all. Like every Syrian gets treated the same way. And they were like, well, we risked our lives to protect German interests, as it says in the German law. There's a German law which says that people who work to protect German interests have a right to live in Germany. So they don't have to go through the whole process, but they have to they should, but it doesn't happen automatically. Like they have the right to a 3-year stay and the right to work, which not every asylum seeker gets, but they still have to apply for it. It doesn't get handed to them. They have to go through the whole process. So they're just living here. In the meantime, he says his friends are already asking for their money back because they can't work at the moment. No one can work in Afghanistan because it's all under military occupation. Like the Taliban is just occupying everything. So it's hardly anyone's got any money in Afghanistan. And he said it's really tough situation for him. So I wrote about this in a Deutsche Welle article, and a reader got in touch with me and said he'd like to set up a GoFundMe
That is so wonderful. I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, we need to, we need to do something for these people.
And so I've put them in touch. So maybe they'll be setting up a GoFundMe campaign to help him with his debts.
I think they 100% should. Fuck, man.
Yeah.
And like, this is the thing. It's like,
and they're the lucky ones, they're the ones that got out.
I know. And it's, but that's lovely that someone wants to help them. And I've already had like a few things kind of passed around, like very, very kind of not even donating to a charity or something, but literally just like, I know this Afghan person and they need money. Can anyone give them something? Yeah. So I think that would be good if we can get those details on short. And
there are other organisations you can donate to. There's there's like a patrons network. So some former Bundeswehr soldiers have actually set up a thing where you can become a patron for an Afghan support staff member. Then you can donate. It's a little charity that they've set up, and where they kind of connect people to people who want to help them out. Yeah, they're getting inundated with requests at the moment.
And didn't Angela Merkel say sort of day before yesterday that the evacuation flights to Germany are stopping? Like, they're done now?
Yeah, it's all winding down. All the NATO forces are winding down their evacuations. Well, they have to, because the Taliban said you can't stay longer than the 31st. Because the Taliban run the country now. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's try and do what we can. Finish our megas, donate. But like...
yeah. And
what
that
an absolute shit show.
That is all the news this week that I've got to report. Do you have any news?
No.
Any advice to give people?
These megas are quite nice, aren't they?
Yeah, I really like this.
Yeah. So go and get yourself a Bombay Bramble gin and tonic. They're not in every one. They're not in every place, but some of the fancier spaces have them. And Edeka. So go there. Yeah, let's try and do what we can for people in need. It's so overwhelming, I find. I'm just like, I can never help, but like even a few euros to someone is bound to do something. Or, sharing articles or talking to somebody or doing something, even if you're not in a position to donate. I don't know. I really feel weird about the world. Like, we're sort of kind of getting back to normal-ish now. And then it's like, oh shit, there's all these other fucking problems.
Yeah. But, and on that note...
No, I hope everyone has a lovely weekend. Yeah. Fuck. I don't know.
We'll do another election special next time.
Yeah, we also need to do a Merkel thing.
What, like a what are you picturing?
I think we should do the life and the career of Angela Merkel told through Megacans.
So one Megacan for each chapter of her life. For each
sort of epoch. Yes.
Of each Merkelian epoch.
Absolutely. We'll just get absolutely fucking shit-faced. It'll be 4 hours long and no one will listen to it, but it'll be beautiful. Art. It'll be art.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Count me in.
Oh, good, because I don't know fucking shit about Merkel. Really. Okay. All right, lovely people. Have a very nice weekend. It's not all doom and gloom because people still want to do good things. And I think that's the main thing. You have to remember, like, most people are fine.
Yeah.
If given the opportunity to be good, people are.
Yeah.
There we go. This is a nice Megacan. There we go. Those are my two
Thank you.
closing thoughts.
Lovely. Bye.